Listen, welcome back to Raw Encounters, the show where we uncover the myths, misconceptions, misunderstanding about sex, relationship, and intimacy. Whether if it's the taboo topics or the question that you always wanted to ask, we are here to break down all information, judgment free. So let's explore the truth behind myths and dive deep into the conversation that matters. I'm your host, Darren, and let's get real together. Diving into deeper myths and misconceptions about sex requires understanding that it's original, how they are connected to the evidence that disproves them. Ideally, here's how the comprehension breaks down of the topic about sex and myths of corresponding. Insight to debunk them, all jokes aside, along with the culture and the factors that sustain these false beliefs, myths. Number one, men have higher sex drives than women. The misconception stems from gender stereotype and the historical of men as sexual, assertive, and women as more. Study has shown the that while testosterone is often linked to male libido, female desire is far more complex and influenced by factors such as hormonal cycles, emotional intimacy, and even social conditioning. Men and women's sex drive can be fluctuated due to various factors like stress, age, relationships, satisfaction, or even just being utilized for the bigger picture of intimacy. Psychology say traditional gender roles that paint men as sexual and women are gatekeepers, contributing to the stereotypes. Media reinforce that men always are ready for sex while women is more selective. Women don't enjoy casual sex as much as men. The myth is rooted in the view of women's sexuality, where women's sexual value was historical tied to modesty and virginity. Men, on the other hand, were socially encouraged to pursue sexual conquest. Studies say that women can do and enjoy casual sex when conditions such as feeling safe, confident, and respect are met. Research from psychologist Terry has shown that the gap of enjoyment comes from judgment and doubt standards, non-biological differences, cultural influences. Women often face stigma for expressing sexual aids, which can result to avoiding casual encounters due to fear of judgment or slut shaming. Men tend to do that, but often celebrate for their sexual promiscuous. So you can tell if someone has a STI. Say it's just like outdated belief that only people who appear dirty or unhealthy are likely to have sexual transmitted infections, along with stigma around outward appearance of certain symptoms. Research say the majority of STIs are asymptomatic, meaning people can carry infections like chlamydia or HPV without showing visible signs. This is why it's important to get tested on a daily basis, especially if you're having sexual activities. Medical misunderstanding. I'm going to be honest with you. Many STIs have no visible symptoms, especially in the early stages. For example, HPV can be present without outward indication. Misconceptions about about visible infections increase stigma for information. Bigger penises lead to better sex. Oh my God, that's a myth. Wow, we getting deep into it now. The myth has been by media, porn, and social media emphasizes on size as a marker of masculinity and sexual. Being honest with you, research said a study on sexual satisfaction revealed that for most people, penis size is not a significant factor to pleasure. Women in particular report that factors such as emotional connection, communication, and technical techniques are far most important for sexual satisfaction. cultural reinforcement, pornography, often exaggerate size as a visual speculate, leading men to feel inadequate if they don't measure up to the unrealistic standard. This myth can cause body shaming, body images like performance, anxiety, all that. Another myth, and I'm giving you a lot of ones because I want to give you some insight. The orgasm gap is due to biological differences. The misconception arises when the idea that the women are naturally less orgasmic to men or that females' pleasure is inherently more difficult to achieve. Research say the orgasm gap where men orgasm more frequently than women doing heterosex is largely attributed to social and cultural factors rather than biological. Studies show that the clitoris is a center to the female's orgasm as the penis to a male orgasm, but the clitoris is often ignored or understimulated in heterosex encounters. In the same sex encounters between women, the orgasm rate is much higher. The lack of sex education focus on female anatomy along with the cultural sex as penetration focus in media has made this belief that the myths also persist because women are often socialized to prioritize their social partner pleasure over their own. The rise of the internet has led to increasing exposure to scripted, exaggerated, and highly styled, of sex. For many, especially younger viewers, porn become an earlier source of education. Pornographic, particularly mainstream porn, prioritize male pleasure and often misrepresent the complexity of female pleasure. It rarely have any kind of authentic communicated sex that reflects real life emotional intimacy, body diversity, or sexual. Pornography can lead to unrealistic expectations regarding stamina, body types, and sexual acts. Regular consumptions without critical lens can distort unnecessary or understanding of what normal sex looks like to performance anxiety and dissatisfaction. Virginity is the thing that you lose. The concept of virginity is a deep-rooted religion, that's what we'll say, system that started controlling women's sexuality. Virginity was kind of historical tied to women's worth, purity, and just marriageable ability. Virginity is like, to me, a social construct without a clear medical definition. The idea of losing one's virginity, first time sexual experience, variety, widely, and emphasize vaginal penetration. Sex is defined. Okay? Virginity continues to be cultural significant because we're going so much by the media. But it's most important that being questioned by modern sex positive movements that emphasize anatomy and individual readiness is more purity. Women bodies are more complicated than men. My mom always tell me this. It say historically limit understanding of female sexual anatomy and reproduce. For centuries, women body were often seen as mystery or difficult to understand why male anatomy was better to study and discuss. Women's body and anatomy is no more complex than men's, but factors have led to focusing on females' pleasure and sex education, the clitoris. For example, was only fully mapped in 2009 despite being a primary for, female pleasure. The myth persistence because the inadequate sex education that focus on reproduction rather than pleasure, particularly women's pleasure, be honest, social norms have that belief that men's sexual response are simpler, easier to manage. Well, I'm gonna tell you now, that's not true. But again, all of these are myths and maybes and what ifs. So again, Keep that in mind. Kinks and fetishes are uncommon or weird. We always get that everywhere I work. You know, I have a foot fetish. That's just my fetish. Everybody's fetishes is different, but nobody should feel judged, you know? For so much history of sexual behavior outside of heterosexual missionary style were considered taboo. Many of these beliefs stem from religions, outdated psychiatry classifications. It's just a lie. But be honest with you, studies have shown that kinks and fetishes are more common than people would think. When million individuals engage in non-normal sexual behavior, kinks are natural expression of sexual curiosity, as long as they practice consensually and safely. Why not? So whatever you like is what you like. Despite growing visibly of BDSM and kink communities, many view these practices as taboo, largely due to what the media portray or either just what they see on TV. However, popular media such as 50 Shades of Grey help normalize conversations around the kink world. Adam and Eve have. You know, we enjoy providing that knowledge for you to be set up for success. So anytime you want to come into our store, we have one in Fredericksburg, Richmond, Chesapeake, and Virginia Beach. I oversee Virginia Beach and Chesapeake. So it's very important to know that sex gets worse in long-term relationships. The idea that naturally fades away after the honeymoon phase by media and common relationships that have long-term relationships and look at it boring, or no momentum. Study shows while frequency of sex decrease over time in long-term relationship and sexual satisfaction often increase as couples become more comfortable communicating what one another desires. Long-term relationships can foster deeply emotionally intimacy, which enhances sexual pleasure. See, many people believe that myths because of common portrayal on married couples, movies, TV, sexual disinterest. However, research suggests that couples prioritize intimacy and communication, maintain healthy lives over time. Each of these myths about sex is deeply intertwined with historical, cultural, and social factors and persists largely due to lack of comprehensive sex education and media misrepresentation. Modern research continues to disprove that the outdated beliefs, but overcoming them requires more widespread of education and openness about sex. By addressing these myths head on, I can provide different valuable research, back information that encourages healthier relationships and fulfilling sexual relationships. Okay? So I want you to remember everything that I'm saying. Go back to the episode and read it. If you have any questions, please let me know because I want to help you. I want all of us to help each other. I might learn something from you. Okay? Thanks for joining us on this journey of debunking myths and exploring the truth about sex and relationships. If you enjoyed this episode, which it was more a historical episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share with someone who needs to hear it. Or even have a question or topic that you want me to cover, reach out. We would love to hear from you. Until next time, keep questioning, keep learning, and keep exploring the truth that brings us closer together. I'm your host, Darren, and y'all have a good one.